Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, joined tonight by Michael Fiddle at Fiddle's Picks. You can catch him on the Fiddle NBA betting show every morning on Twitter. I still call it Twitter. I will always call it Twitter. I actually did bingo with my brother-in-law and my wife and my brother-in-law's girlfriend. We did bingo for the year. Like, you pick out random events that are going to occur, like celebrity deaths or like Travis and Taylor breaking up was one. Like, you pick random things. Like, we do family ones too. I selected the over on 1.5 girlfriends for my son, who is 14, and it has been in a relationship that I cannot wrap my head around. Like, they're in a relationship, but they never see each other. It's bad. Anyway, so one of the things that I took on there, as well as on these other things, I completely lost my train of thought. Kyle Murray is also with us. Kyle Murray at KMurDFS is with us as well from Roto Grinders. We're going to do best bets for Tuesday in the association. We'll touch on a number of things tonight. We'll want to let you know that everything we talk about can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. It's the best way for you to track your picks. It's the best way for you to get information where the bets and the money are coming in on. You can track those market moves. You can see what the sharp signals are. If you want to be like Michael Fiddle, the market maestro, it's a great tool to augment that, because it will actually pop up and tell you, hey, we've tracked sharp moves on this. So even though the money's on this side, you've noticed like the line has moved in this direction, for you to be able to try and anticipate that as well. So make sure to keep an eye out for the Action Pro over at actionnetwork.com. Some interesting things to get to tonight. We got two games I want to talk about, and then a little trade piece, and then we'll get into best bets. So we'll hit these very quickly. Start off the top. Shout out to Brian Fonseca, and shout out to Jim Turvey, who took Hornets plus 16.5 last night, as the Charlotte Hornets absolutely dismantle the Oklahoma City Thunder. Just absolutely roll them 124-97. There were so many signals that this was like, oh, they don't lose these games. Oh, they'll be good. Like, I love the under in this game, which hit, thankfully, because I was banking on a Thunder defensive performance and not a Hornets defensive performance. Fiddle, do you feel like this Thunder team is as good as last year?
That's a tough question.
Right?
I feel like yes. I kind of have some like thoughts on the Thunder stuff that's going on right now. I do feel like they're just as good as a team as last year, because they've had Chet healthy for the bulk of this season, and he's been unbelievable. Like, Chet's been so good for this team. When he was missing a lot of time last season with the hip injury, they missed J-Dub for the beginning of the season, but they've kind of been more healthy than they were last season, it seems. So I do think they're just as good as they were. I also felt like in the beginning of the season, and feel free to shoot this down if you feel otherwise, I felt like teams would just roll over against the Thunder because of what seemed to be coming, and like knowing that they were a train that was just steaming down, and they were like almost teams that would quit. They would be like down 8 and they would just start playing sloppy basketball and seem to quit. And the next thing you know, it's an 18-point game and the Thunder defense makes a run. And I feel like since the Spurs won 3 of them, the Wolves took 1 from them, the Thunder lost 4 out of 6 at one point. Now they're 6-6 in their last 12, I believe. I feel like every opponent is getting up and starting to say, okay, we could try and challenge the Thunder here. Like, let's give it our best. Let's fight when we're down 10 to see if we can crawl back in this. Let's try and really focus and play smart basketball. So I feel like the Thunder are now starting to get everyone's best shot and most focused shot, when previously it was almost like it was like felt like an off night. It felt like this team was just going to lose focus, get out of their rhythm, not play in their normal motion, start shooting bad shots when they have them. And so I do think the Thunder are just as good, but I also think the opponents are starting to take them actually seriously, or take themselves seriously when playing against the Thunder. Yeah. When I felt like almost the wins record felt like they might get this because no team is trying against them, and there's like a lot of artificial wins where now everyone's trying against them. So I do feel like the Thunder are just as good, but I feel like the competition level is being met finally against them. And I've always thought, despite how good they've been in the regular season and how good they started the year, I always felt like calling them repeat championships, like they're definitely going to get tested in the playoffs. They were tested numerous times last year, even though they ended up becoming the champions. Any team is going to get tested unless they get great breaks with like injuries going against the other teams and they slide on through the playoffs. So I always felt like, hey, they're going to get a run for their money in the playoffs. But the regular season, it felt like teams were folding, and now feels like everyone's given their best effort, and the Thunder are just losing some games. It's tough to explain why, besides shooting variance, but there's definitely something there.
Yeah, so I think big picture, because I've really shifted to like I want to get nitty gritty on like the detail stuff when we get to the playoffs. I think there are some cracks in the armor. I think the biggest thing here is like, let's just take a big picture look at this. Schedule adjusted, they had an 11.8 net rating last year. They're at 11 this year. That's still, surprise, that's the best in the league. It's still best in the league by a wide margin. It's still awesome. But it's slightly worse. It's like a point worse. Point's a pretty big deal. And where I'm at is I'm not 100% confident. I'm not like, we should be betting other teams to win the title, especially not now. Like they're probably going to take, like the number might move down a little bit. But one thing I do think is just like in 2000, I keep coming back to this. In 2023, after the Nuggets won the title, 2023-24, they started off the year red hot, and it was like nothing stopping this team. They are going to breeze to another finals appearance, and they are probably going to win it. And they didn't. And the Celtics last year got off to a great start, and everybody was like, I don't see any way, anything getting in the way of the Boston Celtics and the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Finals. Like, it just takes like a little bit. Now, the problem I have is I'm like, they are worse than last year, but I don't know that they're enough worse. Where it's like, they're at an 11, and the next best team, the Houston Rockets, are at 7.6. Like, it's a 4-point differential just if we do schedule adjusted net rating. And I have them on power rating. Mine are different. I have Houston way lower. I have Denver second. If we're doing fully healthy power ratings, I have OKC as a 3.5 point favorite over Denver on neutral. And they would obviously have home court. That's like how good they are. They're still 3.5 points better than the second best team. They were. We'll see what happens after these two losses, because I haven't updated my numbers yet. But Kyle, I just think it's like, it is really interesting. And there's, Locked On, I listen to all the Locked On shows, and Locked On Thunder was talking about like whether or not they need to trade for a shooter, which if you do, it's going to compromise your defense. A big part of this is like Shai's getting picked on a little bit defensively, and that's going to be a problem. And then on top of it, like the offense just isn't there. 97 points tonight. Not good enough, Kyle.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting discussion because, early in the year when they were, what was it, like 23-1 or whatever the record was, and the one loss was against the Blazers, where they, took it down to the wire. And, it seemed like everyone was kind of in agreement that they were equally as dominant, maybe even more than last year. I will say it does feel like they've had a missing piece for a lot of games. Obviously, Hartenstein's been out for a while, or in and out of the lineup. J-Dub missed the first month or so of the season. Obviously, Chet's had his normal rest nights. So I think it will come down to like what they can put on paper when they are fully healthy and fully acclimated. I think that is something that is worth noting. I think it is really intriguing that they have a couple of guys who, again, we haven't really seen as much last year compared to this year, but AJ Mitchell has been fantastic this year. Obviously, Alex Caruso's a guy, like when they have a big game, like we saw in the NBA Cup against the Spurs, he steps up in big ways. He's also missed, quite a bit of time. So I think that's certainly part of it, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting discussion, especially considering as of late where it's felt like they sort of hit that peak, and now they're obviously having a bit of a downfall, or at least a plateau. So it's I think it is a little bit of recency bias, maybe because of what we've seen over the last few weeks. But nonetheless, yeah, I still think that they are obviously the fantastic team and probably the best team in the NBA still. But it is interesting to think about what they've looked like and what they put on the floor over the past couple weeks. But I will be interested to see what they look like going forward once they get fully healthy.
Yeah. Other game tonight that was really interesting is Denver Nuggets missing 5 starters and having no centers, and Tim Hardaway Jr. was out, and Jalen Pickett and Hunter Tyson and Zeke Naji beat the Sixers in Philadelphia, because this is the NBA and that's how that works. I was too much of a coward to play it. The reason that I was like, this might be a good bet is like, it's a probability thing where the market is going to act like there's a 0% probability, not literally, Fiddle, but like obviously like there's going to be like a huge deviation here with it. With the starters being out, like you have to adjust for Jokic and Murray and Gordon and Brown and all, and that's pretty much where it stops, because like they're not going to move it for Tim Hardaway Jr. They're not going to move it for Jonas Valanciunas. They're not going to move it for Cam Johnson. Not going to move it much. But the problem is, and this is like a really interesting thing, I think, when you have this level of injuries, not just like one guy or two guys, there is no tape on these players either individually or together. So it's a killer motivational spot. Us against the world. Nobody believes in us. I get a chance to play. Like I was talking to a coach one time, a head coach in the NBA, and I was talking about this letdown effect. And I was like, can you help me understand what happens? And he was like, I'd love to tell you that it's a rah-rah speech from us coaches. He's like, it's a rah-rah speech, but it's from their agent. He's like, their agent will call before the game and be like, you're getting minutes tonight. It is extremely important that you play well. Like that conversation will happen because you're finally getting an opportunity and you get to make a mistake and keep playing because they have no one else, versus a lot of these guys, if you screw up and throw a bad turnover, get them out of there. I'm getting my backup. I'm getting my starter back in. Like that doesn't happen here. And the Sixers have no scouting report on any of these guys individually or how they play together, because these guys don't know how to play together. These lineups haven't played together in any sort of non-garbage time situation. So it's like a completely, a totally new environment for them to be able to play in, Fiddle. And like, I just got to remember next time, as crazy as it sounds to take the shot, this isn't a one-off. We do see this happen from time to time in the NBA, especially in the regular season.
We see it happen fairly often. I think the agent calling the player is probably the best real explanation that I've heard of it that doesn't get reflected by market. Like there is this whole notion of star players are overvalued. It's like, no, we have exact values for star players based on markets, based on analytical deep dives, based on things like EPM. We know coaches, I think some coaches enjoy the opportunity to put on a coaching display and coach up a group with less experience and try and finagle some things and just, throw some X at the wall. But I also think that makes a lot of sense, that sometimes it might be just from agents coming down and being like, hey, this is your time to shine. And, you need to capitalize on these opportunities. So play free, play hard, stay focused. And I really think it's probably a big focus element. Like these players are locked in and knowing our only way to win tonight is if we stay together pretty much every possession. And so you can't really take possessions off and you catch the Sixers slipping. I was very pissed off at this game from backing the Sixers at an 11.5 on a line that closed at like 15. And then just literally right from the gate, they were losing. It felt like the whole time the Nuggets were ahead. This game drove me crazy, but yeah, I do understand it in hindsight. I would make the same bet 100 times over. But there's a reason when you play it back the other direction too.
That is very kind of you, Fiddle, not to be like, no, actually your read is fucking stupid and I was on the right side and I lost, because the NBA is dumb sometimes. I appreciate you.
Well, it was a terrible travel spot for the Nuggets, right?
I know.
It was a horrible spot. I smelt the injuries coming, even to Jamal Murray. I was like, it's back to back. They just got run out. Like it's with travel. It's on the road. It's been a long road trip. Like this is a spot where they're all going to sit. And then it was literally like 15 minutes after I placed the bet, the notifications came in. Murray out, Brown out, Gordon out. And I was like, great. Like this is exactly how we drew it up. This is perfect. But yeah, there's times where you have to come back the other direction and open a middle or play it back.
The whole thing here is like the Nuggets win this game. I actually want to sit down and do the math. So like the Nuggets, I had projected to win this game with their injury situation, we'll call it that, the plague of injuries that they had. They win it 15% of the time. That's it. Like 15% of the time they win this game. So not bad for them to be able to get that kind of an outcome here. Just this is how it goes sometimes in the NBA. Kyle, I am curious what I really wanted to get your thoughts on it. I gave out on actionnetwork.com. I gave out Embiid over on points and rebounds. Both of those hit. And I gave out the ladder. I didn't hit the highest rung, which was 45, but I did hit 30 and I hit 10 rebounds and I hit the over on his line was 26, which I was like, it's Zeke Naji and Deron Holmes. Overtime helped with him getting to 32. But what did you have Embiid projected at tonight?
I flipped all my sheets over so that I can pull it up. But what you were obviously talking about in the internal Slack, and obviously me and Jim were on projections today over at Roto Grinders. So we were trying to figure out, and that's usually a difficult spot like to calculate. Obviously, we can tell that it's a great spot for him. Looks like we had him projected for 28.5 points and about 9 rebounds. So had him projected pretty well, especially on the points line over. But when you're talking about a guy who is in a spot like this where you're looking at a completely different matchup than what the data is telling us, because obviously you're missing 5 or 6 guys from that team and from that rotation. So it was certainly an interesting spot from a projection standpoint, and especially then factoring in the spread, which ultimately didn't necessarily matter because obviously the game was close and went to overtime. But yeah, it was a spot where Embiid certainly projected well, but also it was probably a spot where he was even better than the projections told us because of that, interesting loophole in the data.
Okay, let's get to some best bets. We're going to break it down for you. We're going to give you best bets for Tuesday in the association. But first, the Buckets Podcast has teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers can bet $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. Stay in on the action and use your bonus bet on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. To get started, use promo code BucketsNBA when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use code BucketsNBA when signing up and bet $5 to get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours. The crown is yours, and we're going to get started with Kyle Murray's 3-star bet of the night. As always, we do 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. 3 is our best bet. 2 is a little bit is not as good of a bet, but it's still one we like. And then the 1-star is usually the guys have a lean or a strong inkling towards. Kyle, let's start with your 3-star bet of the night.
Yeah, I will say, obviously, I'm a player prop focused, better in NBA, and for what it's worth, very limited lines so far. Obviously, some injury stuff and back-to-backs and whatnot, and a smaller slate compared to what we saw tonight. But so I would recommend checking back on either the Action app or wherever you can get the plays for finalized plays. But right now, my 3-star play is Trey Johnson over 18.5 PRA, having projected closer to 21 PRA in this spot. It's a pretty good spot from a efficiency and usage standpoint with no Keyshawn George in the lineup. Should see a couple more minutes and obviously additional usage when George is off the floor. Only one player on this Washington team benefits more from a usage perspective, and that is CJ McCollum. So I was between CJ McCollum and Trey Johnson, but Johnson just projected a little bit better on his number, so ended up going there. It should be a decent spot as well, 234.5 total and a 7.5 point spread. And I know we're going to talk about the spread a little bit throughout the course of the show, but I think this game has a good chance to stay close. And if that's the case, we might even get to see a few extra minutes from Trey Johnson. So between the interesting game environment that I do think is going to have a little bit of a solid pace spot here with Washington playing really quick, and obviously with George being out, giving Trey Johnson a chance to get a few extra minutes and pick up not only usage, but also a few additional upticks in terms of rebound and assist rate. So all things considered, the spot with George out is really leading me to Trey Johnson over 18.5 PRA. I think this will probably close at 19.5 or maybe even 20.5 PRA.
I will slightly push back just on the pace point. The Wizards have actually started to slow down quite a bit. That's why they're winning a little bit more, is because they're slowing down like a little bit. So that's one thing. However, I do like this because, as I mentioned, the agents talk to their clients, and if I was Trey Johnson's agent, I'd be like, "You have to start scoring now. Start scoring. They might trade for Trae Young. You'll never see the ball again. Go get buckets." I would be begging them to get buckets is what I would be doing. Like this play though. I really like Trey Johnson's game. I just like Trey Johnson quite a bit. He's a fun watch. I like this play as well. 18.5 PRA. How many rebounds do you have him projected for here actually?
Just under 4 rebounds here.
He's actually a sneaky good rebounder.
Yeah.
Got some sneaky ability to sneak. He likes getting it and then pushing the ball up too.
Yeah, and that's without me doing any manual adjustments on the rebound rate specifically, because again, like when you're going from one slate to the next, this like 10 p.m. to midnight range, don't get necessarily all the time to do all these manual rates. But yeah, his rebound rate will probably come up when I take Keyshawn George off the floor for those rates.
Yeah. Michael Fiddle, let's get your 3-star bet of the night.
So for my 3-star, I'm going to go Mavericks at Sacramento Kings over 230.5. There are some 230s out there as well. There are some low vig 230.5s. Fine with all of them. Think this closes 231 or higher. The Mavericks actually been putting Cooper Flagg back at point guard a little bit. I think that's two things that's not really being spoken here. Is the Mavericks are starting to play Flagg at point guard during spurts throughout the game, which means that whenever they grab the rebound, they hit the transition button and they go. And so they just start flying on offense and they play very fast pace, whether that's Nembhard, whether that's B. Will, whether that's actually Cooper Flagg taking the reins. I actually think that increases a lot of their pace statistics. And so we've seen a noticeable shift in pace. I was playing Sacramento unders and fading Sacramento last week because I said that the players that are playing are all the young guys, and they've moved away from the veterans. Zach LaVine is back getting 36 minutes. Keon Ellis is a little dinged up and might not get as much playing time as a defensive-minded guard. Russell Westbrook is playing a ton of minutes with this young group. DeRozan should be out there in decent minutes in this spot as well. So the Kings have actually gone back to the veterans. Maybe that's because they're just healthy and you got to play them a little bit. Maybe that's because they're starting to ramp up their trade eligibility and wanting to, showcase them a little bit. But we're actually getting the best players who are going to play faster and have scoring chops going for Sacramento. So there's been like this wave of the ways to play Sacramento based on who Doug Christie's putting on the court. And if Levine's going to play 36 minutes, this total should be, 2 points higher at least. So Dallas at Sacramento over 230.5. This is one where market will confirm my ball watching knowledge and abilities, because having watched way too much Sacramento Kings basketball this year because they play in the latest slot and I just am up late and will watch whatever game is on. I've seen the way that they've put out the players, and it's staggeringly different from one night to another. And they're actually playing the guys who could score again. Like Keegan Murray is back in the lineup. So this is an over spot for me. Dallas, Sacramento over 230.5.
They are a rough watch.
Brutal.
They are a tough watch. The Nuggets have played them a bunch, so I've had to go and see them in person. Have to is a strong term. I get to go see them in person. It's always.
I think they've played all 4 matchups against the Nuggets already this year.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to go see professional players play. But man, like there's just so many times where you're like, oh, and then Kings beat them once, and it was still like, oh god. I was banking early on Mavericks unders. It was like every night was just like under. They're still the 29th ranked half court offense in the league. Kings rank in 28th in half court defense. So that's not great. They also, there's an interesting trend this year, not this year. This is something I haven't paid enough attention to. I think if you have a bad offense, a really easy way to like avoid problems with it is don't get bogged down against a half court defense. Just run. Just try. Now, the Wizards are the exact opposite. The Wizards actually need to slow the fuck down because they're better when they actually run their stuff. But everybody else just needs to try and run. The Mavericks, when you get Cooper Flagg out in transition, who you're going to hear about Cooper Flagg a little bit later on, I love Flagg in transition. He's just like, he's big and he's strong and he's agile and he's really good. So yeah, I can't argue with Dallas Sacramento over 230.5. I cannot make an argument against this. On a scale of 1 to 5, this is your 3-star play. On a scale of 1 to 5, how much do you like this play versus your average 3-star play?
Probably a little bit less, honestly. There was multiple other plays we had in the show document that are gone. It was, Dallas minus 4.5, and now there's 5.5, 6 showing up there. It was, Timberwolves on a decent number, which is now gone. So I had to adjust this a few times. I do think it is going to be a strong close, though. We are seeing even the 230.5s that were soft are now expensive and shaded towards the over. So it is happening in real time. The benefits of watching live and getting best of the numbers.
Okay. My 3-star play of the night, Heat plus 5.5. This is a number play only. This was when this was in Miami. This number was, I think, 2.5. So it was Heat minus 2.5, and then the Wolves obliterated them, beat the ever-loving shit out of them, and it's moved to Heat plus 5.5 on the road. So that's a 7. It's minus 2. It's a 7.5 point move. And I can't get there on any sort of adjustment for the injuries. Jaime Jaquez is probably not going to play in this one. He's banged up. I don't actually have Jaquez as an above average replacement player on the Heat because their guards are so good. Like, they have so many other wings that are good that Jaquez doesn't grade out as important to the spread by this metric. Tyler Hero is out, but Tyler Hero has been out. And that's not really a significant change here. Heat are playing, I think, better. I think the Wolves game was an aberration. This is a revenge spot. Spo's been good when he's been up against those types of teams where it's like where he lost the last matchup. He has been good in those spots. He's one of the better coaches in the league. So to me, this is like a pretty good, I think, opportunity to get in on a Heat team where I just think this is too much of an adjustment for home court. The Wolves have been playing really good basketball, but the problem is, like, every time Minnesota starts playing good basketball, they slam their head into a wall. So I don't like the spot. I really don't love the pace factor here because the Wolves have a pretty sloppy offense. Their offense is really good, but it's sloppy. It's not a precise offense. It's not ball movement. They're just like, they're a little loose. They're tighter than last year in terms of their turnover rate, but they're still pretty loose. You don't want to do that with Miami. Miami's just going to go up and down the court on you, and you can get sucked into playing that way. And I don't think they're disciplined enough to be able to play in a good situation there. So I like Miami here plus 5.5. Fiddle, what do you think about this game?
I actually like the Wolves in this spot. I love the way the Wolves have been playing. I think Randall's been playing fantastic. Ant's been playing fantastic. Gobert's still one of the best rim protectors in the league. It is actually incredibly underrated at this point. It depends on Hero and Jaquez, really, for line value here. I do understand the 7-point swing because Jaquez was playing in that game, and then he ended up getting hurt. That's the game he got hurt in. Whether he's worth much ATS, it's compounded. Also, potentially not having Hero. So then you're also moving through some less relevant numbers, so it'll move a little further than if we were moving from like 10 down to 4. Is moving through the 0 is going to move quicker. So I'm fine with the move here, but if the number currently depends on the injury report that comes through on the Miami side.
Fun trend when the Wolves face a team with a faster pace than them at home, they're 5-7 against the spread. They kind of struggle against those little faster teams, so that backs up that. Small sample, but it's a nice supporting point. Let's go back to Kyle for your 2 and your 1 stars on the night. Kyle, what do you got for us?
Yeah, 2-star play. I'm going to Anthony Black. He's been obviously awesome, but I'm going to take the under on his rebounds and assists. Didn't want to, mess with any of the points. Obviously, great matchup here against Washington, and he's been fantastic, picking up some extra minutes and uses with all the injuries that Orlando's been going through. But he's also been a little bit lucky in terms of his potential assists. Last game, he had 10 potential assists, converted all 10. The game before that, again, 10 potential assists, converted 7 of them. It's a pretty significant rate where I do think that we're going to see some potential regression on the assist numbers there. And then in terms of rebound rates, the rebound chances have not been all that great. And we're seeing a strong under on 4.5. So, market likes it closer to 4 rebounds there. And then I have him projected to go under this assist number with the market value of plus 110, looking like it's potentially going to be heavier towards the under on some books. So Anthony Black, I'm projected for under 9.5 rebounds and assists. My total projection on him there is 8.6 on those two. So again, the matchup is pretty good from a rebounding perspective, but I do think that other guys on the team are going to benefit from that more in terms of it not being a great spot for guards and rebounding compared to other positions on the floor. So I like the under 9.5 assists. It mainly comes from the potential regression on those potential assists. So I like Anthony Black under 9.5 rebounds and assists. And then last play is Jock Landale over 16.5 points plus rebounds. This one, it does have some volatility to it. That's why it's my 1-star. But again, pretty thin player prop pool right now. But I do have him projected to go over this number if he does start again. That is potentially a question mark. They've been doing some weird things with their starters. Obviously, they picked up Christian Coloco. He's been starting at times. They've been playing Jaren Jackson at the 5 with Santi Aldama starting at times. So it's worth at least confirming that if you wanted to wait on this number. But I have him projected for 19 points plus rebounds. And I will say probably have him projected over this because of that volatility with potential starting, and then also with the question mark of Victor Wembanyama's availability. So again, some volatility there, but I don't mind taking risks on some of these player props in order to potentially get a number that could move 2 or maybe even 3 points plus rebounds in this market. So I do like Jock Landale. We're in that projection of 26 minutes. I have at 19.5 points and rebounds.
This is what I love about our show is that one of our analysts was literally like, I got a Jock Landale prop for you.
Household name, right?
A double digit, 16.5. Jock Landale prop. Amazing. Michael Fiddle, let's get your 2 and your 1 stars.
I've loved Landale this season. He's been surprisingly good for the Grizzlies in minutes without Edie.
Yep.
My 2-star on this slate is going to be the Lakers and Pelicans under 240.5. There's even some 241.5 out there. I'm going against the market in this one. There's been some over movement as the first move on the board. I do think this inevitably ends up coming back down. Reeves is still hurt, is going to be reevaluated at the end of January. We probably don't see him until the beginning of February. Rui is still out for the Lakers. He's one of those key players that I think has a lot more weight to his team than is shown against the spread, and he's kind of crucial for Lakers success. I'm not surprised to see some Pelicans steam hitting the board as well in this spot. But ultimately, I have this market ratings as for a total at 236.5. My model is right there too, with it being just a touch higher, considering needing the manual adjustments for Rui and Reeves being out. So I kind of saw the open at 237.5. Was like, that's a pretty good number, and one I would even lean towards the under a bit. Now at 240, 241, it's definitely an under spot for me. I do think this gets hit back the other way pretty hard tomorrow, and we end up closing sub 240. So I understand the pace and the defense of these teams hasn't been great. The pace has been high and the defense hasn't been great, but there's a lot of ISO basketball being played on both sides for these teams. So I'll go with the under here and hope that maybe the shot making's off a little bit. Maybe the possessions are slowed down a little bit, and some of the drive-in dish shooting will not be as sharp. So give me the under Lakers Pelicans 240.5, 240.5.
Lakers unders. Whew. That's a
Terrifying.
bold. That's a bold pick by Fiddle on a Lakers under.
Go bolder with the 1-star.
Go bolder.
This gets back to what Kyle was saying earlier about Keyshawn George being out and him liking Trey Johnson. I'll take the Wizards, Wiz Kids, +7. Also think it's worth sprinkling on the money line. I'm always willing to fade the Magic without Suggs. He is just better than what he is given credit for in market ratings. So let me fade any Suggs-less Magic team into oblivion. Also, I was asked an interesting question last week, and it was like, someone said, Fiddle, you talk about player values all the time. Is there any player that's worth negative value? And the question was about Trae Young. And it was like, hey, is Trae Young actually a net negative to the Hawks? And I was like, I won't stand for any of that nonsense. No, he's clearly still a positive to the Hawks. Anytime he's on the injury report, when the news comes, the line moves. If he's in, the line moves, better for the Hawks got 2 points better. When he's out, the Hawks get 2 points worse. So he's roughly worth 2 points. There's millions of dollars of liquidity being traded throughout various markets on these games. You could even see it on the betting exchanges, the type of volume that's being done at 1 or 2 sites, and you don't even include the entire recreational market. Trae Young is definitely a net positive. So then someone asked me, so who is there any player that's a net negative? And my answer, you guys, was, oh, it's Keyshawn George. Because when Keyshawn is out there for the Wizards, and no disrespect to him, but like when he's out there, it's less ball handling responsibilities for CJ McCollum, for Chris Middleton. So like it's addition by subtraction, not as a net negative to him, but it's like you're going to get your veterans the ball. So I'm not surprised at all to see Wizards be 6-6 in their last 12 or whatever the recent record is for the Wizards. That's pretty good. I'm not surprised to see the Wizards have a winning record this season in games that George sits. And so I just think they're going to force the ball to their better players. And so you're going to get more usage from McCullough, more usage from Sarr, more usage from Middleton. And that's really where you want the ball to be for Washington. And on the other side, no Suggs means give me Washington all day. It already moved from 8 to 7. I think we'll get 6.5. That key number at the 7 still important. Would take 7, would take money line as well.
Okay, I'm with you on this. This is actually my 2-star, but your Keyshawn George hate makes me want to completely turn around and bet the other way.
Is it Keyshawn or Keyshawn?
It's Keyshawn. It's Keyshawn George. Fairly sure.
Yeah, Keyshawn.
There's no E. It's just KY. Where
Yeah.
I know it's like Keontae.
It's still Keyshawn.
And they're not related, right?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but I love Keyshawn George. That's my guy. I am in fact taking Wizards +7, but I am more in line with his Magic gap. It's the Jalen Suggs thing. So without Suggs this season, 6-7 against the spread, not terrible, but they are -3.7. The bigger thing here is actually on top of my power ratings, which make this with Suggs and Franz out, who you may have heard are the good players for the Magic. And I do not enjoy this. Like, I do not want to be a Paolo hater. I feel like Paolo tries to do the right thing, but the guy can't put the ball in the bucket, which is the biggest thing that he does. And that's a problem. But preseason ratings with the injuries, I make this only Wizards 1.2. In season numbers, I actually make the Wizards a slight favorite based off of how the Magic perform without these guys in the lineup. And then I'm using a totals derived model, which also still has this at 3. That's probably the number I like the best. All 3 of my power ratings like this inside the number here, which is an auto play for me. But but one of the bigger things here is, so the Wizards against teams that are under 500 against the spread. So if they're a bad spread team, are 9-7 against the spread this year. That's like the secret is the Wizards are terrible versus everybody, except if you can't cover the spread, they cover the spread because the market is completely out of whack on them for most of the season. This might be about being a buy. Like, this is a buy high point on the Wizards and a buy low point on the Magic. So it's like the opposite of trying to catch a falling knife. It is like trying to use your hands and fluff the knife down is what I'm actively trying to do here. The Magic against below average against the spread team. So you were below 500 against the spread this season. 5-10 ATS for the Orlando Magic. So what you have basically is, to me, this is a power rating thing. The market is incapable of accurately rating Orlando, I think, especially without Suggs. The market is incapable of accurately rating the Wizards, especially at this point. I think they were actually, I think all of us were behind. We were like, oh, the Wizards shouldn't be too bad. And then they was like, oh, they are the worst team of all time because they intentionally did so. And as I mentioned to Kyle, they've started slowing down. This Hawks rumor about Trae Young is related. They are shifting. They have bottomed out so much that they feel like, okay, we can start actually trying to win a little bit now because we don't have to make sure that we keep the top 8 protected pick. So you're going to get a better effort from the Wizards than what has established their power rating. You're going to get the same kind of performance you would expect for you should expect for the Magic given their injuries. So yeah, I like the Wizards here as well. I am also going to take the Spurs -5.5 versus the Memphis Grizzlies. This is just a power rating play. It's just, I just do. It is simply, I see value on this. The trends back it up, and Memphis is in the dark place, and I'm expecting a lot of trade rumors to start popping out of there as we get towards the next month and a half, because I think it's a pretty bad situation there. So I'm going to go ahead and lay the points with the Spurs -5.5, less than 2 possessions. I think it's just too light, even without Wembanyama. Okay. tomorrow night is Tuesday, which means that it's time for King of the Court. And we do have 3 selections for you from DraftKings, where you can play King of the Court. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. As always, King of Chalk. It's going to be Luka. It's going to be Jokic, which one of those guys is playing on Tuesday. If neither of those guys are playing, it's Giannis. Luka Doncic. Kyle or Phil, do either of you know how many times Luka's won it? Has Luka won it yet this year? Had to have won it a couple times.
Yes?
Yeah, I don't know offhand.
But there was one night where it was like a 3-game slate, and he was the chalk by I think it was like a $20 bonus bet. So I recall him at least winning once.
I'm gonna reach out to DraftKings and get us the list of how many times every player has been King of the Court. As a reminder, you just opt into the bonus bet, the King of the Court promotion, and then you apply it to any prop on that player. If they get points, rebounds, and assists, as they are the leader in PRA for the night, they win King of the Court. Our next one I love, and it's De'Aaron Fox here. Grizzlies up-tempo team. Spurs like to get up and down. We've found that you have to get the big scores, and I think Fox has a lot of value here, Fiddle.
Yeah, I mean, that news depends on Wemby, but there's definitely Spurs action happening. There's definitely overaction happening in that game. So I can never hate on the Fox. He can go for 50 any night. And of course, Memphis doesn't present too much of a defensive challenge, especially with Coward being for sure out. It's going to lose some of the wing depth. So I think Memphis likes to switch a lot on defense. And so that'll allow Fox to kind of isolate the right matchups that he wants to and go to work.
You said the Fox, and I jumped back to what does the Fox say, which now is like an ancient meme. Kyle, can you tell me what you have De'Aaron Fox projected for PRA tomorrow? And I will vamp as you look that up, because I'm a good host that will do that. While we're recording this, by the way, I don't know if Draymond's still in the game or not. So Draymond, by the way, was out with a rib contusion. He left the game and then came back in. Fiddle, he returned to the game to start the second half and then immediately hurt his ankle. So I
saw him come back in for a second, and
okay.
Now he's back out again. I can't believe what's going on throughout the association tonight. We're probably going to see a Clippers win with no Harden. I mean, we talked about the Nuggets win with nobody. I mean, the Pistons got to win with no Jalen Duren tonight.
And they slaughtered the Knicks.
Ran them out. And of course, we talked about Hornets beating OKC by 27 in OKC. Some very, very weird results happening across the board. Strange night in the league.
Steve Curtis got ejected too, which was saw it out of the corner of my eye. He was pretty livid, which was I'll definitely want to go see the full highlight of that after the show.
The Jazz, what's interesting is the Jazz played everybody tonight, which I thought they were going to sit some guys because they tended to sit guys when there's a chance, when it's not a very good team. So someone in the league kind of suggested to me that they have like an algorithm that tells them what their expected win probability is. It's like internal polling, and if it's within a certain number, they sit guys to make sure that they tank it. But they played everybody tonight and got absolutely annihilated. Love sat and for rest, and Ace Bailey was hurt, but those aren't meaningful guys, and they got absolutely destroyed by the Blazers. It's a good win for the Blazers, honestly, to just beat a bad team and beat them good. Kyle, what's your projection for De'Aaron Fox?
Yeah, obviously this will iron out more as the day goes on. I will say there's probably more value in waiting on King of the Court plays, because even for some of the late games, you can see how the first at least the first half of the early games go. But have him for about 31.5 PRA. That's with Wemby in.
Okay.
So we will see how that transpires with the news of Wemby.
Okay. And finally, King of Fun, Cooper Flag. This plays into Fiddle's play for the night with the over. Fiddle, you suggested this one, and I think this is a great play. I think there's a legit chance Cooper could steal this.
Yeah, so I'm looking at Cooper's game log since going back to December 5th, so a full 1 month from when we're recording this tonight, January 5th. He's had at least 34 minutes in every single game, and he's had only 34 in 2 of them. Like the 10 others, he's 37, 36, higher, north of 40 in some of the contests as well. So he's getting all of the minutes that he can handle. We have no PJ Washington confirmed for this game. And then, like I mentioned, the he's actually doing some facilitating again and playing some point guard, not necessarily to start the game, but at different spurts throughout the game, and certainly in clutch time. They're just putting the ball in his hands in clutch time. I mean, like, Cooper Flagg, clutch player of the year, should actually be a conversation. He has a usage rate of 23.5 on the season, but it bumps up to north of 26 isolating the last 10 games. So they're clearly putting the ball in his hands. He's clearly getting a boost in minutes. So boost in minutes, boost in usage. I think this is a fun spot to go Flagg. And then working with what Kyle said and the little edge that Joe hinted at last week, which I think is one of the strongest things for handicapping King of the Court, is like, let some of the first games play. This is the last game on the slate by 3 hours, right? So let the first hour of the games go, and then decide by Lakers Pelicans based on box score watching. It's like, do I need to go Luka and go chalk right now? Or is there some wiggle room because, Donovan Mitchell's out? Maybe no one's lighting it up on Cavs or Pacers. Maybe the Wizards and the Magic don't have someone that's going crazy. Maybe Fox isn't going crazy and Spurs Grizzlies. And it's like, okay, wait, I can actually go Flagg here and try and get in a really plus EV situation based on having an hour of the games under my belt. So between Luka and Flagg, I'd be making that decision, 3 minutes before the tip of the Lakers game.
Okay. King of chalks, Luka Doncic. King of values, De'Aaron Fox. And if you want to go for the long shot, king of fun is Cooper Flagg. To recap our best bets, that's from DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Our best bets for the night, I've got the Heat plus 5.5, the Wizards plus 7, and the Spurs minus 5.5. Kyle's got Trey Johnson over 18.5 PRA, Anthony Black under 9.5 rebounds and assists, and Jock Landale over 16.5 PR. Michael Fiddle's got Dallas, Sacramento over 230.5, Lakers, Pelicans under 240.5, and the Wizards plus 7 because he's a Keyshawn George hater, which is rude. That's going to do it for Buckets. Appreciate you guys being with us. You can catch Fiddle at Fiddle's Picks. He does shows every day, breaking down the slate in detail, where the market has moved and where it's going to move to. You can catch Kyle Murray at Roto Grinders. He's at K-Mur DFS. I'm at HP Basketball. My thanks to David Payne, our producer. Thanks for joining us live. We'll be back tomorrow night with more best bets. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.